Chapter 7468. Outside the house, Gong Jun looked at the sky and unconsciously looked towards the direction where the explosives were buried. He had been following Qing Jie for the past few days and did not have the chance to leave. He could only wait for the explosives to explode and the surroundings to fall into chaos before he could take the opportunity to escape. Otherwise, once he left now, everyone would lock onto him. Thinking of Qing Jie's miserable appearance, he also felt some sympathy. This fellow was really stupid and unlucky. Inside the house, Qing Heng was receiving the array master who had just arrived while Qing Jie quietly stayed at one side. The redness and swelling on his face had already disappeared and one could not tell how badly he had been taught a lesson. However, looking at Qing Heng trying his best to make the other party feel at ease, he also felt very uncomfortable. Such an important matter was obviously an opportunity for him to hold his head high, but he had messed it up. If he found out who did this, he would definitely grind that person's bones to dust. "Sir, I've already understood these matters. Shouldn't we get to the main topic?" The array master smiled. "You should know that what I'm most interested in this time is that array book. As long as I can obtain that array book, I will have a great chance of advancing to a 5th grade array master. At that time, not only will it be beneficial to me, it will also be beneficial to the Qing family." Qing Heng's expression slightly paused before he said, "At this auction, we did indeed bid for this array book." "That's good. But there was an accident later on." The man was stunned. "What accident happened?" "We will send the array book to you as soon as possible. I hope you can give us some time." Qing Heng did not tell him the ins and outs of the entire matter. This in itself was a very embarrassing matter. The man's interest instantly waned and the anticipation in his eyes completely disappeared. "Sir, you should know that I came here for the array book. If I can't see it, I think there's no need for me to join the Qing family." "I understand." Qing Heng nodded. "We just need some time. If we can't find it, we naturally won't force it." "That's good." The man raised his head. Although he did not directly reject, but from his attitude, one could tell that he already did not have any hope. When Qing Jie saw this scene, he unconsciously clenched his fists. This was all his fault. Meanwhile, Qing Ting walked over to Qing Jie's side and sent a voice transmission. "We sent people to search the entire courtyard carefully and we found this in the end." Qing Jie took the item that Qing Ting handed over. It was a transparent bottle. "What is this?" "We've asked the pharmacist. It said that there's a knockout drug inside." Qing Jie's expression changed. He had felt that it was abnormal for him to suddenly fall asleep. In other words, someone had drugged him, but he didn't know. "Where did you find this bottle?" "I found it among the leaves in the yard." "This seems to have Gong Jun's aura." Qing Jie's expression instantly turned extremely ugly. Even though Qing Teng and Qing Teng had warned him that there might be something wrong with Gong Jun, he had never truly believed them. This brat had always been very obedient by his side. He did not seem like someone who would do such a thing at all. But this bottle, there was no other explanation. "Where's Gong Jun now?" "He's waiting in the outer courtyard. Find him immediately." Qing Jie stood up, his eyes full of sternness. Chapter 7469. Qing Heng noticed the commotion on Qing Jie's side and asked, "What happened?" "Sir, we found a clue." Qing Jie spoke and looked at the formation master. "Master, please give us some time. Perhaps I'll be able to find the formation book very soon." When the man heard this, he looked at Qing Jie in surprise. He had already given up hope, but now it seemed that the book's whereabouts had already been found. "All right, then I'll wait." The man sat down again. Qing Heng's expression became slightly better. As long as he could find the formation book, these little twists and turns were nothing. Qing Jie did not delay and quickly walked out of the house. His heart was already filled with anger. If all of this was really done by Gong Jun, he would definitely cut Gong Jun into pieces. Gong Jun was still waiting in the courtyard. The explosion should start soon, right? He did not know why, but he felt a little anxious about today's situation. Gong Jun. Suddenly, a roar sounded from the front. Gong Jun could not help but tremble and instinctively looked in the direction of the sound. He saw Qing Jie's face filled with anger, while Qing Teng and Qing Man quickly rushed towards him. "Young Master Jia, what's wrong?" Gong Jun had a flattering smile on his face, but his body unconsciously retreated. Looking at the other party's murderous look, even a fool would know that something must have gone wrong. However, he had handled the entire matter very well and did not leave any evidence behind. If not for that, Qing Jie and the others would not have been unable to find any clues after searching for so many days. So what was going on now? Qing Jie noticed Gong Jun's reaction and was unable to restrain his anger. If there was nothing strange, Gong Jun would not have retreated at all. Capture him and bring him to me immediately. Qing Teng and Qing Man immediately flew over. Their eyes were cold and filled with hatred. Not only had this fellow stolen their limelight recently, he had even betrayed their young master. This was unforgivable. Damn it, what should I do now? Gong Jun wailed in his heart. If the explosion did not happen, he would be captured by these two fellows. Everyone around him glared angrily at him. It was impossible for him to escape from these people. Di Baichen and Mo Yunjue seemed to have heard Gong Jun's prayer. After he finished speaking, a shocking explosion suddenly rang out. Boom. An earth-shattering sound spread out, and the ground under their feet trembled. Boom boom boom. Following the first explosion, it was as if a chain reaction had started. One explosion after another continued to ring out. In an instant, the surrounding area was covered by a layer of dust, and at the same time, there were some screams. No one had expected this sudden explosion. Moreover, the range of the explosion was extremely terrifying. The cultivators who were affected by it were inevitably injured. Even Qing Jie and the others, who were bent on capturing Gong Jun, were shocked by the sudden explosion. They raised their eyes and looked up. Just what was going on? Qing Heng quickly walked out of the house and realized that the house in front of him had been blown up. What's going on? Qing Heng said to the man inside and quickly rushed towards the direction of the explosion. Such a thing had never happened in the Qing clan for so many years. Who was so daring to blow up their branch? Seeing this, Qing Jie did not care about Gong Jun and quickly followed after him. Chapter 74-70. Qing Teng, keep an eye on Gong Jun, wait for me to return. Yes, young master. Qing Teng and Qing Teng looked in the direction of the explosion. Such a huge commotion had never happened in the Qing clan before. Could it be the doing of an enemy clan? Almost all the cultivators in the branch were attracted by the explosion. Gong Jun took the opportunity to run outside while they were still in a daze. If he didn't run now, he wouldn't be able to escape later. My plan was flawless. How did they think of me? Gong Jun was puzzled. Such a small matter might be difficult for others, but to him, it wasn't a problem at all. With Qing Jie's trust in him, it was impossible for him to suspect him. Even if he did suspect him, he didn't have any evidence. But from Qing Jie's attitude just now, he definitely had evidence. This was strange. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't reveal his strength, he really wanted to ask Qing Jie what evidence he had. Xiao Bai saw that Gong Jun was still thinking about this at this moment and couldn't help but say, "Don't think about it. Since you did it, there must be a flaw. As long as we can leave here today, who cares what they found?" Gong Jun and Xiao Bai quickly left. Qing Teng and Qing Ting noticed that Gong Jun was running away and couldn't be bothered to watch the commotion. They quickly chased after him. As long as they could catch Gong Jun, it would be a great achievement. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others heard the explosion behind them and their eyes lit up. They started to move. The three of them couldn't help but look up at the top of the resource warehouse. This fourth-grade immortal usually guarded upstairs. Such a huge commotion should have attracted his attention. When Qing Heng and Qing Jie arrived, they realized that the branch had suffered a lot of damage. There were a total of 5 explosion points, and they were all places that people usually passed by. Now that there were explosions, how many cultivators were injured? There were many bloodstains on the ground. Those who were lightly injured had already stood up. There were also many who were seriously injured and had fainted. Who the hell did this? Qing Jie's expression was extremely ugly. Could it be that because we invited a 4th-rank array master, they wanted to cause trouble like this? The power of this explosive is very unusual. Qing Heng looked at the traces of the explosion and the injuries of the cultivators who had fallen to the ground. When did an explosives expert come to Liuxin City? We didn't even have the slightest bit of news. Explosives were nothing to immortals. In the entire immortal realm, almost no one would use such a method. However, the explosives buried in their Qing clan were different. The explosive power of the explosives was extraordinary. Could even injure a rank 2 immortal. With such a wide area of effect, it was simply a powerful weapon. The might of this bomb is already comparable to the full-powered attack of a mid-level 2nd stage immortal. To think that it was buried in our Qing clan and we didn't even know about it. Qing Heng's expression was grim like water. If this spread out, it would simply be a joke. Most importantly, they couldn't be sure if there were other explosives buried on the ground. No one knew when these explosives would explode. If it were to explode, the casualties would be When the other members of the Qing clan heard that the explosion was comparable to the full-powered attack of a mid-level second-stage immortal, they couldn't help but feel nervous. Many of them were still rank 1 or had just reached rank 2. If it were a normal person attacking them, they could still dodge. However, this kind of sudden explosion was hard to predict. Chapter 74-71. If this attack landed on a vital point, they would be finished. At least, that was how the unlucky rank 2 on the ground had lost his life. Everyone was in a state of panic. Everyone unconsciously looked at the ground beneath their feet. No one knew if there was an unknown danger here. After Qing Hing noticed everyone's panicked expression, he didn't panic. The explosives aren't buried very deep. Organize a few teams and inspect the ground to make sure there are no explosives. Yes. Qing Jie nodded and summoned the guards at the side. Search the entire area. As long as the others are fine, find them and come over. We'll move together. The area of the entire branch was not small. It would take a lot of time for a few teams to inspect the entire place. This would give the other party more time, so everyone had to act. Yes. Take the injured away for treatment first. Investigate the suspicious people who came in and out today. This is a malicious act. We have to find out what the other party's motive is. Qing Heng frowned. He did not think that the other party had carefully buried these explosives just to cause such a panic. There must be another reason. Before they could confirm this reason, they could not let down their guard. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two saw that everyone around them had rushed to the site of the explosion. Their eyes were fixed on the resource warehouse. This guy can really sit still. After such a big commotion, I saw several places that were blown into deep pits, but there was no reaction at all here. Bai Li Yin Che's brows furrowed. They did not have much time. If the other party did not come out, then all their efforts would be in vain. This can't go on. Ling Er's expression was ugly. They had spent a lot of blood spirit stones to do this. If they still could not do it, then they would be in trouble. It seems that we are still lacking a messenger. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. The next moment she suddenly slapped her chest. Blood instantly stained her clothes and her face turned pale. Hongzhuang, what are you doing? Linger and Bai Li Yanche were dumbfounded when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly injure herself. In a while I'll go in first. You guys wait for the right moment. As soon as that rank 4 immortal leaves, you guys use the medicine. Do you understand? After giving her instructions, Bailey Hongzhuang hurriedly ran into the resource warehouse. Elder. The elders inside were worried when they heard the commotion outside. When they saw a bloody person running in, they immediately realized that the situation was not good. What's going on outside? Elder, there was an explosion outside. Many places were blasted apart. Many people died and were injured. It's a mess. It's said that this was done by the enemy. We still need to track down the person who caused the explosion. We hope that Elder can help us. Hearing this, the two elders' expressions changed. They had already felt how shocking the commotion outside was. With such a powerful explosion occurring in so many places, the impact was indeed great. With such a big thing happening, I'm afraid it's really a mess. It won't do if we can't find the culprit. However, we have to look after this resource warehouse. We can't leave at will. Anyway, the third elder is here. It shouldn't be a problem for the two of us to go and take a look. The other party was able to sneak in here and cause such destruction. I'm afraid they are not weak. Ordinary rank 1 and rank 2 immortals are no match for them. Chapter 74-72. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was deathly pale, but she couldn't help but look upstairs. What third elder? He was just too calm. She had already hurt herself to this extent, and she was even controlling her wounds to prevent them from healing. If this old man still didn't come out, then all her efforts would have been in vain. She didn't want the 2 third-rank immortals to leave. It was much harder to knock out a 4th-rank immortal than 2 third-rank immortals. Third elder will go out and take a look. We'll have to trouble you here, said the older 3rd-rank immortal. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but say, the other party is probably very strong. You have to be careful when you go out. Hearing this, the 2 immortals nodded slightly and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with satisfaction. This girl was not bad. However, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't think so. She had already said so much. If the 3rd elder still didn't do anything, then there was nothing she could do. You two stay here. I'll go and see what's going on. A figure jumped down from upstairs. Bailey Hongzhuang only saw a back view before the other party disappeared. Even so, she could clearly sense how strong the other party was. The difference in strength between a 4th-rank immortal and a 4th-rank immortal was too great. There was no chance of fighting at all. It would be a complete suppression. After seeing the third elder leave, although the two immortals were still worried about the situation outside, they were slightly relieved. Bailey Hongzhuang saw the two immortals looking at her and immediately fainted. "A girl? There's an injury near her heart. No wonder she fainted. It looks like she just advanced to the first-rank immortal. Let her rest at the side." Bai Li Yanche and Bailey Hongzhuang heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the fourth-rank immortal leave. At the same time, they were full of admiration for Hongzhuang. Recently she had spent more time with Gong Jun. Her ability to scare people had skyrocketed. Just like how Gong Jun had fooled Qingjie, Hongzhuang had easily fooled a level 4 expert. "Hurry up!" The two of them also understood the importance of this matter and immediately sprayed the knockout powder. Bailey Hongzhuang closed her eyes and pretended to be unconscious. However, she had been paying attention to the movements around her. She was counting down in her heart. She had some understanding of the effects of this medicine. It shouldn't be long before the two stewards collapsed. Now that everyone had been attracted by the explosion outside, there were only 2 stewards left in the entire resource warehouse. Bang! Bang! Bailey Hongzhuang opened her eyes and noticed that the 2 stewards had already fainted. She didn't care about anything else and immediately started to act. "Move quickly." Bailey Hongzhuang and the other 2 quickly moved. Xiao Bai and Bailey Hongzhuang were also quickly putting the things in the resource warehouse into their storage rings. This 4th-rank immortal wouldn't be gone for too long. Although the explosion this time was huge, it didn't cause too much of an impact. The main thing was that there was some distance between the locations of the explosion. After that 4th-rank immortal went there, he would understand that the situation wasn't that serious and would probably return soon. Di Baichen and Mo Yunjue also rushed to the resource warehouse. After seeing that the 3 of them were already moving, they immediately joined the team. "We only have 10 minutes at most. Leave 2 minutes to escape. We have to be fast." Bailey Hongzhuang reminded them. Everyone didn't have time to say anything else and put everything they saw into their storage rings. Chapter 74-73. Gong Jun ran forward at full speed. He wanted to reach the resource storage as soon as possible and leave with his boss. Unexpectedly, Qing Teng and Qing Man also used all their strength to chase after him. It was very difficult to shake them off. "Gong Jun, these 2 are too fast. We can't go on like this." Xiao Bai looked at the 2 people who were closing in on them and couldn't help but exclaim. "After hanging out with them for so long, I didn't realize that they were so fast." Gong Jun was confused. "Could it be that I've been too focused on bragging and didn't pay attention to their strength?" Xiao Bai was speechless. "Master, are you sure you're not trying to trick me? Don't worry about it. Since you've been exposed, we can't go and look for Master and the others. Otherwise, not only will we be in danger, but Master and the others will be implicated as well. Then let's leave the Qing residence." Gong Jun understood that the situation was terrible. He had become the target of these 2 people. If they found out that they were robbing the resource storage, he didn't know what would happen. "I'll lead the way. Let's get rid of these 2 people first and think of a way to get out of the city." Little White sighed. Fortunately, it had already figured out the route of departure clearly. As long as they left, it would be fine as long as they met up with everyone else. Qing Teng and Qing Man followed closely behind. Gong Jun's speed was also beyond their expectations. "I didn't expect this fatty to run so fast. It's really beyond my expectations." Qing Man's expression was terrible. She thought that catching Gong Jun wouldn't be a problem at all. Now they were already running as fast as they could, but there was still a huge gap between them. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't close the gap. Gong Jun must have planned this. He purposely hid beside Master for this. Qing Ting said in a low voice. Qing Man was confused. If he wanted to harm Master, he could have killed Master the first time he attacked. Why didn't he do that? Green Vine paused for a moment. "Once we capture him, we'll know everything. The gate is right in front of us, let's leave quickly." When Xiao Bai saw the entrance of the Qing clan, he instantly heaved a sigh of relief. After leaving the Qing clan, it would be easier for him to escape. "Stop them. This man is a thief," Green Vine shouted. "I'll go." Xiao Bai's face turned pale and she hurriedly said, "Gong Jun, think of something." The 2 guards in front of them were Tier 1 immortals. Given their strength, they were definitely not strong enough. If they were to be stopped by the other party, they would definitely be done for. Gong Jun couldn't help but shout, "Be careful. There are explosives under our feet." The 2 men who were about to stop Gong Jun subconsciously looked at the ground when they heard this and quickly bounced away. The previous explosion was still fresh in their minds. Once that terrifying destructive power exploded under their feet, only death would await the two of them. I'm lying to you. While the two of them were still in a daze, Gong Jun had already successfully left the Qing clan. I didn't expect the Qing clan to be so gullible. They believed everything I said. Gong Jun laughed. When Qing Tang and Qing Man heard this, their faces turned ugly. This fellow was definitely asking for a beating. Was he purposely saying such things to provoke them? End of chapter. Chapter 74-74. Gong Jun, if we catch you, we'll definitely cut you into pieces. Qing Tang said angrily. Gong Jun didn't even look back as he ran forward at full speed. You might not even be able to catch me. Is the formation book with you? What nonsense are you spouting? I don't understand at all. Don't think that I don't know that you're the one who stole the formation book. You're just framing me because I'm new here, right? Gong Jun shouted loudly, and the people on both sides of the street heard him. Qing Ting's face was ashen. This guy really had a bad mouth. You're the one spouting nonsense. We've already found evidence. Then tell me, what evidence is it? We found a bottle of knockout powder. Your aura is on it. What bottle? I've never even heard of it. Gong Jun said mockingly, but there was a hint of darkness between his brows. Someone was actually plotting against him. I've always been loyal to young Master Jie, and I've made so many enemies. I've always been willing to work hard without complaint, and I've always treated you with sincerity. However, just because I'm valued by young Master Jie, you've targeted me time and time again. I've tolerated the things that happened to me in the past, but this time, you actually want to take my life. If I don't run, I'll die here. Everyone be my witness. I'll put my words out here today. One day I'll expose your true colors. Gong Jun shouted angrily, and his voice clearly traveled into the ears of everyone around him. Many people in the city had seen this fatty who swaggered around Qing Jie all day long. Compared to Qing Tang and Qing Man, Gong Jun had been much more prominent recently. They didn't expect that he would be pursued by Qing Jie's two trusted subordinates. This situation was indeed a little unclear. Everyone looked at Qing Tang and Qing Man suspiciously. The possibility of this happening wasn't small, because Qing Jie had indeed valued Gong Jun the most recently. In order to fight for status, it wasn't strange for him to do something like this. Furthermore, with Gong Jun's extremely embarrassed and angry appearance, the credibility of this story was greatly increased. For a moment, everyone looked at Qing Tang and Qing Man with a complicated expression. Qing Tang and Qing Man didn't expect Gong Jun to be so good at distorting the truth. In just a few words he had spouted all the nonsense. Most importantly, don't you have a guilty conscience when you look so ashamed and indignant and Qing Man's accusation filled with blood and tears? Not only the onlookers, even they didn't think that he was acting. How could there be such a shameless person in this world? To reach. When Azure Demon woke up, Xiao Sou and the others immediately came to greet him. Their faces were full of joy, but there was a trace of worry in their eyes. What happened in the east? The east side was bombed. We don't know yet, but we've sent people to investigate. We should be able to find the culprit soon. The Malakian fiend frowned. What did the other party use? I heard it was explosives. An extremely laughable thought suddenly appeared in the Azure Fiend's head when he heard that. He felt that it was impossible as soon as he thought about it, but as he continued to think about it, he suddenly felt that it was not impossible. If all this was true, Qing Devil was about to stand up immediately. He had to go and have a look. End of chapter. Chapter 74-75. Qing Devil, what are you going to do? Seeing that Qing Devil was about to get up, Xiao Sou hurriedly said with concern, You just woke up. The doctor said that you'd better rest first. It won't be too late for you to do other things after your body has completely adapted. Yes, Master. Although the explosion in the east caused some casualties and losses, it didn't have a big impact. You don't have to worry about it. Qing Devil narrowed his eyes. This kind of thing has never happened in our Qing family for so many years. In Liuxin City, no one is good at making explosives. Xiao Sou, do you think of a person? Hearing this, Xiao Seiwu was stunned, and a graceful figure suddenly appeared in her mind. It was a face that made her incomparably disgusted. You mean, Bailey Hongzhuang? It's impossible. Xiao Sou hurriedly shook her head. It's impossible for them to come here, let alone do such a thing. The distance between the crossing immortal domain and the immortal domain was very far. Besides, she felt that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't have the guts to do so. Unless they were not afraid of death, they would come to the Qing family to make trouble. Let's go and have a look first. Qing Devil's attitude was firm. He also felt that this kind of thing was unlikely to happen. However, from the beginning until now, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had brought him a lot of surprises. These guys used to be like ants in his eyes. Now even he had to pay attention to them. Di Beichen's contract beast, even now, still made him feel a lingering fear. That kind of strength was really too amazing. It was completely beyond his expectations. Maybe they came here because of that contract beast. Master, they're coming back. Xiao He, who had been keeping watch outside, hurriedly reminded after noticing the approaching aura. As soon as the words came out, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others immediately stopped moving. Without the slightest bit of reluctance, they rushed outside without hesitation. Run! Behind them, the aura of the fourth stage was gradually approaching. The third elder returned to the resource warehouse very unhappily. He went out to check on the girl after seeing that she was seriously injured. The explosion did cause a lot of damage, but no one knew much about this sudden explosion. They didn't even have a suspect. As for other things, Qing Heng had already arranged everything properly. There was no need for him to do anything at all. It was easy to imagine how he felt after coming here in vain. The guy was talking nonsense. When we find that girl, we must give her a good scolding, third elder said unhappily. That said, his face took on a ghastly expression as soon as he entered the resource depot. The first floor that was originally filled with cultivation resources had now completely disappeared. Not only had the cultivation resources disappeared, even the cupboards had disappeared. The entire first floor was empty. The only thing left were the two unconscious fellows on the ground. He walked a few steps closer to make sure that these two fellows were only unconscious and not dead. After that, he felt a little relieved. He spread his spiritual power upstairs and immediately flew into a rage. These fellows had almost emptied the entire resource vault. Those were the resources that they had stored for a long time in the eastern region. Now they were emptied. Guards! The third elder shouted. The nearby cultivators quickly rushed over. Chapter 74-76. When the cultivators who rushed over saw the situation in the resource vault, they were all dumbfounded. What did they just see? The resource vault had been emptied? Even if the third elder did not say anything, they already understood the current situation just by looking at the two unconscious stewards on the ground. It can't be? Who is so scary that they actually emptied the resource vault? Everyone lowered their voices and did not dare to say anything else. The third elder's face was already as black as the bottom of a pot. If they said anything more, they might directly anger the third elder. At that time, they would be the unlucky ones. Immediately go and lock all the doors. Don't let them leave. After the third elder gave his order, he quickly chased outside. From the aura in the surroundings, he sensed the aura of the woman who came to report earlier. Without a doubt, he had fallen for this woman's trick. As long as he caught this woman and her accomplice, then all the resources in the resource vault could be recovered. Otherwise, he would not be able to bear the consequences of the entire resource vault becoming like this. When Qing Heng and Qing Jie arrived and saw this scene, their expressions became extremely stiff. Previously, they did not know the purpose of these fellows' explosion. It was just to create chaos. This was too troublesome. Now they finally understood that the explosion was just to hide. The other party's real goal was the resource vault. Why did the third elder leave? How could he not guard the resource vault? Qing Jie's face was pale. The matter of the formation book was already very troublesome. Now that the resource vault had become like this, if they could not catch the other party, then, what would the eastern region use to compete with the other three tribes in the future? The resource vault was the accumulation of the eastern region for so many years. Once it disappeared, it meant that there was no possibility of competing in the future. When it rains, it pours. Qing Heng also found it somewhat difficult to accept. When did a group of thieves enter the eastern region? Qing Jie, does that Gong Jun have an accomplice? Qing Heng suddenly asked. Qing Jie was slightly stunned when he heard this, but he immediately understood. Gong Jun stole the formation book and the resource vault was also robbed. If two groups of thieves appeared at the same time, then it was too much of a coincidence. Indeed, he didn't come alone. Go and find his accomplice immediately. Qing Heng ordered. I'll go right away. Qing Jie didn't dare to delay. When this thought appeared in his mind, he already had a bad premonition. If Gong Jun and his gang came here with impure intentions, then these two matters could very well have been done by them together. Thinking about how Gong Jun only knew how to flatter people, He simply couldn't associate such a person with the person who robbed the resource vault. That was simply eating a bear's heart and leopard's gall. Just as Qingjie was about to leave, several figures appeared at the door. Qingjie was stunned by the sudden appearance of the group of people. After seeing clearly who they were, he hurriedly saluted and said, "Lord Qing Devil." When Qing Heng heard this voice, he hurriedly turned his head and bowed. "My lord." "What happened?" Qing Devil asked in a low voice. Qing Heng didn't dare to hide anything, so he told Qing Devil everything that happened before. After hearing this, Qing Devil's face became gloomy. These people are really audacious. Xiao So also couldn't believe that someone robbed the resource vault. Chapter 74-77. The resource vault was the most important place for any faction. Once it was stolen, it would prove that the faction was useless from another perspective. The others all looked at Qing Devil. Qing Devil had just woken up and encountered such a thing. Would he be unable to bear it? "I'm sorry." Qing Heng knelt down with a pale face. If Qing Devil hadn't woken up, he might still have a chance to survive. But now, Qing Jie was trembling and had to kneel down as well. He didn't dare to imagine what would happen next. However, Qing Devil wasn't in the mood to care about this at this moment. He rushed upstairs and looked at the wall with a gloomy face. Seeing this, Xiao Seiwu also followed up. When she saw the words written on the wall, her face turned extremely ugly. "To get some interest, I'll spare your lives for now. You'll come for it sooner or later." Xiao So couldn't believe it when she saw the name Di Beichen on the wall. Di Beichen and his men really had the guts to come to the Qing family? They not only blew up many buildings but also left such arrogant words. They didn't take them seriously at all. Malakian Fiend's eyes were extremely sinister. When he heard the explosion earlier, he already felt that something was amiss. After arriving at the branch, he even sensed a familiar aura. Now that he looked at the signature, everything was clear to him. These guys, whom he regarded as ants, rushed to the branch of the Qing family, made a mess here, robbed the resource vault, and left such words. It was no different from slapping him hard in the face. "Qing Devil?" Xiao Soa looked at the tall figure in front of her worriedly. Then she said, "In fact, they don't have the ability. Otherwise they would have rushed to our place directly. Now they just ran away after making a mess here. They know that they are no match for us." "Shut up," Qing Devil scolded. His gnashing voice could be heard downstairs. "Go after them. If they are alive, I want to see them. If they are dead, I want to see their bodies." "Yes." Qing Heng and the others didn't dare to delay any longer. It was already good enough that Qing Devil didn't kill them directly. As long as they could catch the culprit, they could redeem themselves by doing good deeds. Otherwise they would be finished. "Sir, leave this matter to us. Since they have come to Liuxin City, we will not give them the chance to escape," Qing Yang said. "We can't let them get away." Qing Devil said fiercely, "Catch them and you'll be rewarded. Don't worry, my lord. This subordinate will definitely not disappoint you. Everyone is at your disposal." Qing Devil narrowed her eyes. A sharp light flashed across her eyes. It was fine before, but now they dared to come to his place and behave atrociously. If he let them run away just like that, then where would he put his face? Unfortunately, he had just woken up and was not in a good state. It was not suitable for him to show himself. If Di Beichen's demonic beast appeared again, he didn't know if he would be as lucky as last time to recover. However, he roughly figured out that although Di Beichen's contracted beast was powerful, it was under some kind of shackles that prevented it from attacking easily. If not, Di Beichen and the others wouldn't have to be so cautious this time. They could have just let the demonic beast come out and kill everyone. Chapter 74-78. Master, you're awake. A swaying figure exuding a seductive fragrance quickly rushed to the Azure Demon's side. The woman's skin was fair, and her black hair was like a waterfall. Her face was also beautiful. At this moment she was looking at the Azure Demon pitifully. "I was so worried about you when you were in a coma these days." Qing Devil noticed the woman and said with a faint smile, "I won't die so easily. Master, don't talk about death casually. I'm most afraid of hearing such things. I just want to see you safe and sound. That's my biggest wish." Qinglian glanced at Xiao Sou as she said, "I wanted to take good care of you, but I was ordered not to get close to you." Xiao Sou's face darkened. She had seen this woman when she first came to the Qing family. She was a pure seductress who emitted a demonic aura with every movement. She also heard that Qing Devil always doted on Qinglian, which made her feel a strong sense of crisis. She had the same feeling as when she met Bailey Hongzhuang. Although this woman was not as beautiful as Bailey Hongzhuang, she was also outstanding. Moreover, Bailey Hongzhuang was not a flirtatious woman. No matter how unwilling she was to admit it, she had to admit that this woman was really popular with men. "Master, I was just too worried about you," Xiao Sou explained hurriedly. Qing Devil waved his hand and didn't want to listen to her explanation. "Qinglian is my woman. You have no right to stop her. If this happens again, I won't spare you." Qinglian smiled slightly when she heard his words. Her eyes were full of complacency, but she still looked pitiful on the surface. This damned woman was so ordinary that she was not qualified to serve Master. However, she was so lucky that she gave birth to a child for Master. However, she would get rid of these two troubles one by one sooner or later. She could give birth to a child as well. Xiao Sou was stunned. She felt wronged. She didn't stop Qing Lian too much. She only told her not to come close once. After that, Qing Lian didn't come again. She thought that this woman knew how to appreciate favors, but she didn't expect that she was deliberately holding back in order to set a trap for her today. This was really amazing. "Master, it's one thing for you to leave behind that line of words, but why did you write the male master's name at the bottom?" Xiao He had noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's actions before she left. Although the Qing Devil was still in a coma, he would hear about it sooner or later. He would definitely be furious when he found out that they were the culprits. "This is mainly caused by Beichen." Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. At best, she was just an accomplice. Upon hearing this, Bai Li Yanche and the others complained in their hearts. It was obviously you and Gong Jun who came up with the idea of robbing the resource warehouse first. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't run far before they sensed that the level 4 immortal had caught up with them. Moreover, the level 4 immortal was faster than they thought. The distance between them was getting shorter and shorter. Level 4 immortal is indeed a level 4 immortal. The gap between their strength is too big. If this continues, that guy will catch up with us soon. Linger's face darkened. They would be caught up in less than 3 minutes. With their cultivations, they were no match for a level 4 immortal even if they joined forces. We have to think of a way. Chapter 74-79. There's still some distance to the city gate. Let's speed up to the maximum and rush out of the city gate first. Di Beichen said. Using his spiritual perception, he found that not only was the rank 4 immortal chasing after them, but there was also a series of violent auras behind them. If he was not mistaken, the entire Qing family should have been mobilized. Sure enough, touching the resource vault is like touching a hornet's nest. The cultivators of the Qing family all rushed out like a swarm of bees. Logically speaking, although this matter is big, it should only alarm one branch. But why do I feel that the aura doesn't seem like it? Xiao He was puzzled. After being in the branch for so long, he knew how many powerhouses there were. However, the aura behind them was not just that. Let alone them, even the third elder who was chasing after them, was dumbfounded when he sensed the commotion. Robbing the resource warehouse was a big deal, but it shouldn't have alarmed all the other branches. Since when were the branches of the Qing clan so united? This was really hard for him to believe. You can't escape. If you kill yourselves now, you can leave a complete corpse. The third elder's voice sounded from behind, mixed with the aura of a rank 4 immortal. Under the influence of this aura, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others slowed down a little as if they were attracted by a gravitational force. "Old man, don't give me that." Bai Li Yanche roared. The shocking roar of a beast resounded, and the rank 4 immortal aura actually showed signs of dissipating. Tianer also let out a dragon's roar, and the aura of a dragon and a tiger intertwined, directly dissipating the rank 4 immortal aura. Boom. A shattering sound was heard, and everyone regained their original speed. After seeing this scene, the cultivators in Luoxian City were dumbfounded. What happened to the Qing family? Just now, it was Qing Jie's people chasing after them, and now even the rank 4 immortals are mobilized? Looking at the movements behind them, I'm afraid it's not just the rank 4 immortals who are mobilized, but all of them. What did this group of little fellows do? They actually caused the entire Qing family to riot. Could it be that they robbed the resource vault? There were many forces in the Liuxin city, and the Qing clan itself was not very popular. Now that such a thing had happened, everyone was happy to see it. In short, if something happened to the other families, it was a good thing for them. Bang. As third elder got closer and closer to Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, he struck out with his palm. When he found out that the robbers were rank 1 martial artists, some of whom were not even rank 1, he was even more enraged. With such little strength, he actually dared to rob the Qing clan, and even succeeded in robbing them. This was simply a slap to his face. How could he still show his face? Out of the way. Noticing the danger behind him, Di Beichen shouted loudly. Everyone moved to the side, trying to avoid the fierce wind from the palm. However, the difference between a rank 4 strength and theirs was too great. Even if they had dodged at the first moment, they could not avoid it at all. Bailey Hongzhuang fell heavily to the ground. The clothes on her back were instantly covered in blood, and 2 of her ribs were broken. Third Elder hated Bailey Hongzhuang the most. If it were not for her, the resource vault would not have been stolen, and he would not have committed such a big mistake. Ling Er and the others were also injured, but Bailey Hongzhuang was the most seriously injured, because the attack was mainly aimed at her. Chapter 7480. After Bailey Hongzhuang was struck to the ground, she did not care about the injuries on her body. She quickly stood up and continued to run forward. The strength of a rank 4 immortal was no joke. Ever since she broke through to rank 1, she understood that there was a huge difference in strength between each rank. Her opponent was an existence that could completely crush them. She stopped, she would die. Hongzhuang, are you okay? Di Beichen shouted with concern. I'm fine, don't worry about me. Bailey Hongzhuang shouted, run. Scatter and run. They knew their final destination very well. Scatter and run would increase their chances of survival. Robbing a resource vault was like snatching food from a tiger's mouth. The only thing they did not expect was that the rank 4 immortal would return faster than they thought. Everyone understood how dangerous the situation was. Just one rank 4 immortal was already very difficult to deal with. They also felt that there were at least 2 rank 4 immortals behind them. If all 3 rank 4 immortals came, they would all be finished. In the next moment, everyone scattered and ran away. Di Beichen quickly approached Bailey Hongzhuang. Now that Hongzhuang was injured, her speed would definitely be reduced. Don't worry about me, I have my ways. Bailey Hongzhuang rejected Di Beichen's approach. She already understood that the other party had remembered her aura and was following her. Everyone would be in danger if they stayed with her. As long as they separated from her, the risk would be reduced significantly. She had the Chaos Ring. As long as she could think of a way to distance herself, she could find a way to hide in it. In the next moment, she took out a handful of pills and stuffed them into her mouth. Her body was quickly filled with energy. Her originally slowed speed quickly increased, and she rushed forward at full speed. Di Beichen also understood Bailey Hongzhuang's thoughts. After a moment of hesitation, he continued to run forward. If he insisted on doing so, he might even implicate Hongzhuang. Fortunately, Hongzhuang had plenty of medicinal pills on her, so she had a lot of life-saving methods. Don't think about fighting the enemy, the only way is to run. Mo Yunjue reminded everyone. The difference in strength was too great. Fighting head-on was no different from smashing an egg against a rock. Running away was the only way to survive. Once he slowed down, he would be done for. Gong Jun and Xiao Bai were relieved after they left the city. Qing Teng and Qing Man were quite a distance away from them, so they had yet to discover their location. Where do you think Boss and the others are now? Gong Jun looked at Xiao Bai and heaved a sigh of relief. After running for so long, he was covered in sweat. It had been a long time since he exercised like this. I don't know either. Xiao Bai shook her head. I think they should be arriving at the city gate soon. Should we go and take a look? The man and beast looked at each other and decided to go and take a look together. They were a team after all. Even if they had agreed on a meeting place, it was naturally better to move together. However, when they got close to the city gate, they felt a group of extremely terrifying auras approaching rapidly. That's right. Not just one. It was a group. And it was a large group. Holy shit, what are Boss and the others doing? Didn't they say they were going to move secretly? They're going to blow up the entire Qing residence. Gong Jun was dumbfounded. This aura was too terrifying. Instantly, his hair stood on end. Xiao Bai was also at a loss. Originally, she thought that they were already in danger when they were being chased. However, compared to the current situation, was that considered fleeing? End of chapter. Chapter 7481. It didn't count at all. Xiao Bai's lips twitched. Then, are we still going to meet up with them? Meet up my ass. Do you want to die so badly? Gong Jun rolled his eyes. Let's hurry up and run. What a joke. The entire Qing clan had turned out in full force. Although they were mainly hunting down Big Brother and the others, they wouldn't forget about him. Thinking about being hunted down by a group of 3rd and 4th stage immortals, The two of them, who hadn't even reached the first stage of the elementary celestial stage, were they really a piece of cake? Run. Gong Jun immediately ran in another direction. Xiao Bai didn't dare to delay. It was too scary. This scene, Qing Jie was chasing Di Beichen and the others with Qing Hang. In the process he suddenly saw a familiar chubby figure. His eyes narrowed. Was that Gong Jun? You guys keep saying that Gong Jun has disappeared. Is that him? Qing Jie looked at Qing Teng and Qing Teng beside him. He realized that he had really underestimated Gong Jun. Qing Teng and Qing Teng had worked together, but Gong Jun had actually managed to escape. It could be seen that Gong Jun had been pretending to be weak all along. Qing Teng and Qing Teng hurriedly turned around. Sure enough, wasn't the person fleeing towards the distance Gong Jun? Bring some people and capture him for me. Qing Jie's eyes were filled with anger. Now, he completely understood that this whole thing had happened because of him. If he hadn't recruited Gong Jun and the others, things wouldn't have turned out like this. He had recruited them just because they flattered him. Now, His Excellency still didn't know what was going on. Once he knew, he would definitely be finished. As long as he captured Gong Jun, he might still have a chance of survival. But if he couldn't, he felt that he had to think of a way to escape. Staying here was a dead end. Yes, young master. Green Vine and Green Vine called out to a few others and quickly rushed in the direction that Gong Jun had fled. Whenever they thought about how Gong Jun had managed to escape from their clutches, they felt embarrassed. Fortunately, they now had another chance. However, the moment they saw Gong Jun appear, they were certain that these guys must be in cahoots. Now they must have shaken them off, so they came to rendezvous. However, they did not expect the situation here to be even worse, so they turned around and fled. If he missed this opportunity, he would never be able to find it again in the future. Gong Jun and Xiao Bai rushed forward without looking back. When they sensed the familiar tracking aura behind them, they couldn't help but curse inwardly. It can't be? Qingting Qingman, why are you here again? Gong Jun was speechless. Why are the two of you like dogskin plasters that can't be shaken off? It's one thing for you to come, but you actually brought helpers. Isn't this too unethical? Hearing Gong Jun's words, Green Vine and Green Vine were completely speechless. How shameless could this guy be? Unethical? You're a guy who robbed the resource vault and you still have the nerve to talk about unethical? Why don't you just go and die? Gong Jun stopped talking. Run faster. Xiao Bai reminded. They were really in a lot of trouble now, but Gong Jun still had the mood to tease them. Don't worry, these two guys can't catch up to us. Didn't we just test it out? A smile appeared on Gong Jun's face. Qing Jie was truly foolish. Just now, Qing Teng and the other two were already unable to catch up. Now that he had sent the two of them, wouldn't they still be unable to catch up? No. Chapter 7482. What do you mean? It's not just the two of them. Xiao Bai shouted. There's a third-rank immortal as well. Gong Jun was stunned when he heard that. Only then did he notice that Qing Jie had sent another third-rank immortal after Qing Teng and the others. His face turned pale instantly. You can't do this. If you can't beat a first-rank immortal, you send a third-rank immortal. How can you be so shameless? Qing Teng's face turned red. Shameless? Who was the more shameless one here? He had lived for so many years, but he had never seen someone as shameless as Gong Jun before. We must catch him. Qing Teng's speed increased due to his anger. Gong Jun felt a chill in his heart. He couldn't care less about anything else. He took out some pills and stuffed them into his mouth. At the same time, he put Xiao Bai into his pocket and rushed forward. Sister-in-law is still the best. She gave me so many pills. Today I'm going to compete with a third-rank immortal. Xiao Bai was speechless. Since you had pills, why didn't you use them earlier? Why did you cause us to be chased like that? I didn't think it was necessary to use them on these two guys. Pills are so expensive. We should save as much as we can. However, it's different now. We're in the third rank. Gong Jun's speed was at its peak. His voice also became sharper. Qing Teng and the others' faces were already as dark as the bottom of a pot. This guy had been slandering them all this time. Now he was even mocking them. He didn't use the pills when he had them. He was obviously looking down on them. The third-rank immortal who was chasing after them felt much better after hearing this. Although this guy deserved a beating, what he said made sense. If they caught him, they would leave his corpse intact. The speed of a third-rank immortal was naturally much faster than that of a beginner immortal. He quickly overtook Qing Teng and Qing Teng. The distance between him and Gong Jun was also shrinking. Seeing that he was about to catch up, Gong Jun suddenly increased his speed. When Xiaohei saw that Gong Jun's speed was comparable to that of a Tier 3 immortal, she was dumbfounded. Gong Jun, how did you achieve this speed? My master has always said that I'm a cultivation genius, but I'm not interested in that. The only thing I care about is my speed. After all, if I can't win, I still have to run. The more nervous I am, the faster my speed will be. Whether or not I can survive will depend on this speed. Gong Jun's face was flushed red. Clearly he had pushed his speed to the limit. Xiaobai could only hear the sound of the wind whistling past its ears. It suddenly remembered that its master had said that Gong Jun was the real genius. Only then did it completely believe it. This guy didn't usually cultivate, but he was still able to reach such a realm at such a speed. If he was wholeheartedly focused on cultivation, then his cultivation speed would be unimaginable. At that moment, Xiaobai couldn't help but sigh. How could such a great talent appear in Gong Jun's sky? It was such a waste. The third-rank immortal didn't expect Gong Jun's speed to be so fast. Even a beginner immortal who specialized in speed wouldn't be able to reach such a speed when he unleashed his full strength. Even a third-rank immortal like him couldn't catch up. As for Qing Teng and Qing Ting, both of them were completely dumbfounded. Could it be that Gong Jun really didn't care about them before? The speed. Gong Jun was about to disappear from their eyes. Disappointment, disappointment. That fatty whom they had always looked down upon had actually left them in the dust. This was simply too humiliating. When the third-rank immortal saw that he couldn't catch up to Gong Jun, he was instantly enraged. If he couldn't even catch up to a beginner immortal, then he wouldn't be able to show his face in the future. Chapter 7483. Bang. The rank 3 immortal's fist carried a sharp gust of wind as it flew towards Gong Jun. However, Gong Jun seemed to have eyes on the back of his head. He rolled on the ground and continued to charge forward. F***ck, it hurts. Gong Jun cried out in pain. However, he did not stop and continued to run forward. When the rank 3 immortal heard his screams, his lips twitched uncontrollably. He felt that this guy was simply mocking him. He did not manage to hit Gong Jun at all. However, this guy was still crying out in pain. Now he finally understood how shameless this guy was. In his anger, the rank 3 immortal increased his speed. Gong Jun saw that the distance between them was getting shorter and shorter. He started to get anxious. Big brother, you are a rank 3 immortal. Do you have to go all out just to kill me, a mere beginner immortal? Gong Jun shouted. The rank 3 immortal was speechless. You know that I am a rank 3 immortal. If I don't go all out, I won't even be able to catch a mere beginner immortal. Xiaobai realized that the rank 3 immortal was getting closer and closer to Gong Jun. She could not help but say, Gong Jun, speed up. Gong Jun took out another pill and swallowed it. His face was flushed red. I have already increased my speed to the maximum. I want to go faster but my body won't allow it. Then what should we do? Xiaobai looked at the rank 3 immortal who was chasing them relentlessly. This guy seemed to have been provoked and would not give up until he caught them. What else can we do? Let's see who can't run anymore. Gong Jun's face was miserable. He actually had to compete with a rank 3 immortal to see who would die of exhaustion first. It wasn't easy for me to gain some weight. This time it's all gone. The rank 3 immortal almost vomited blood when he heard this. This guy was so fat and now he was actually feeling bad about losing his weight. Why don't you go and die? Just like that, the two of them continued to chase each other. Gong Jun had quietly deviated from the main group and was getting closer and closer to the other cities. Gong Jun's clothes were already drenched in sweat, and even the ends of his hair were wet. Gong Jun's speed had unknowingly slowed down. However, when Gong Jun slowed down, the rank 3 immortal's speed also slowed down. Although this guy's cultivation was strong, he was not like Gong Jun who could take pills all the time. Big brother, let's discuss this. Why don't we just let it go? Gong Jun suggested as he panted. It's been so long. There's no point in taking me back. Think about it. Even if you capture me, how much reward can you get? Shut up. The rank 3 immortal said angrily. Gong Jun had no intention of stopping. You're really stubborn. Didn't I just rob the resource vault? How about this? I'll give you some cultivation resources and you let me go. What do you think? You definitely won't lose out on this deal. Hearing this, the rank 3 immortal paused. This was indeed a good suggestion. He had captured Gong Jun. For taking a leave of absence, this was something he should do. There was no reward. However, this guy had robbed the resource vault. If he could get some resources from this guy, the reward would be much better than capturing him. Seeing that there was no response from behind, Gong Jun knew that his suggestion had worked. He immediately heaved a sigh of relief. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. The rank 3 immortal still didn't reply. Let me tidy up and throw my Chenkuan bag to you, Gong Jun said. Chapter 74-84. As Gong Jun ran, he tidied up his Chenkuan bags. Xiao Bai wanted to say something but was stopped by Gong Jun. He shook his head and gestured for Xiao Bai to keep quiet. Xiao Bai didn't know what Gong Jun was up to, so he didn't say anything. Robbing the resource storage was something that Master and the others did. Gong Jun didn't even go to the resource storage. It was impossible for him to share the cultivation resources. In the next moment, Gong Jun threw 2 Chenkuan bags to the left and right and then quickly fled. Big brother, I'll put the things in the Chenkuan bags. When the 3rd rank immortal saw Gong Jun's actions, he couldn't help but sigh. What a sly old fox. The Chenkuan bags thrown by a beginner celestial were naturally not close. Moreover, they were thrown in 2 completely opposite directions. If he chased after Gong Jun, he wouldn't be able to get the 2 Chenkuan bags. However, if he took the 2 Chenkuan bags, Gong Jun would probably have run away without a trace. Most importantly, given how shameless this guy was, he didn't know if he was tricking him. Even so, the 3rd rank immortal still slowed down. The temptation of cultivation resources was too great. As a 3rd rank immortal, he still didn't have enough cultivation resources. He could only hope that this kid wasn't tricking him. When Gong Jun noticed that the aura behind him had disappeared, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. However, he didn't slow down because of this. Instead, he sped up. Gong Jun, you lost 2 empty Chenkuan bags? Xiao Bai asked. How could I be that kind of person? Gong Jun shook his head. Since I promised to share the cultivation resources with him, I naturally did. Hearing this, Xiao Bai looked at him suspiciously. Based on its understanding of Gong Jun, this guy was completely unkind. Could it be that it had misjudged Gong Jun? It just so happens that we don't need those mid-grade and low-grade blood spirit stones now. We'll just give them to him. He didn't run for so long in vain. Gong Jun sighed. I'm really too generous. Xiao Bai. I knew I didn't misjudge you. That guy will definitely fly into a rage when he sees the things inside. We have to take this opportunity to leave quickly. Otherwise, when he catches up to us, the 2 of us will really be done for. Gong Jun understood the situation very well. After being tricked time and time again, that guy was probably going to explode. After running for so long, we are about to reach another city. Since the city is so big, why don't we find a place to hide first? Looking at the city in front of them, Gong's heart decided. Although the Qing clan was a big power in Luoxian City, it wasn't easy for them to extend their influence to other cities. Moreover, the powers in the immortal domain weren't simple. It was already good enough for them to have a base in a city. It was obviously impossible for a mere 3rd rank immortal to search the entire city to find them. Even if he really had the ability, they could just think of a way to escape. Xiao Bai agreed with this idea. After running for so long, it was really tiring. I wonder how Master and the others are doing. We're already in such a miserable state from being chased by a 3rd rank immortal. Master and the others are being chased by a group of 3rd rank and 4th rank immortals. Xiao Bai's eyes were filled with worry. With so many people chasing after them, it was really too difficult to escape. Even with the Chaos Ring, it wasn't easy to find an opportunity to escape. Gong Jun sighed. His face was filled with worry. We might have really caused too much trouble this time. These guys are too exaggerated. We only robbed a resource storage, but they made it seem like we dug up their ancestral graves. Chapter 74-85. Looking at Gong Jun's innocent expression, Xiao Bai shook its head. This guy was really hard to explain. Boss is so powerful. He must have thought of a way to escape. Look, aren't you safe and sound? Gong Jun said. As long as Xiao Bai was not dead, it meant that boss was still alive. Should we think of a way to rescue them? Xiao Bai could not help but worry. It had only taken a glance from afar, and it had already sensed how dangerous it was. We don't even know which direction boss ran in. How can we rescue them? Gong Jun was a little helpless. Let's think of a way to completely hide from this 3rd rank immortal first, then think of a way to find them. Although they had used a little trick earlier, it was only a matter of minutes for a 3rd rank immortal. If they did not hurry and find a place to hide, both of them would be done for. Xiao Bai's expression turned serious. This was indeed the most important thing right now. Hurry and find a place to hide. Don't worry, leave it to me. After Gong Jun entered the city, he quickly ran inside. As he passed through the alley, he changed his clothes. However, when Xiaobai noticed where he was heading, it could not help but ask, "Is this the legendary brothel?" Gong Jun looked proud. "That's right, it's a brothel. Are you crazy? What time is it now? Why are you running to a brothel?" Xiaobai was speechless. This is the celestial region. Why would there be a brothel? As long as there is a need, there will definitely be a brothel. Gong Jun looked as if he was used to it. Whether it's the lower realm or the upper realm, the basics are still the same. This is not an excuse for you to run to a brothel. What excuse? Gong Jun patted Xiaobai's head. You don't know. How did that third-rank immortal lock onto us? Aura, Xiaobai said. Then that's it. Gong Jun spread out his hands. If we hide in the city, that guy can find us based on our aura. There's no point in hiding. Does it work in the brothel? Of course. Think about it, what do brothels usually do? Xiaobai blushed. This kind of thing naturally can't be casually spied on by spiritual power, so every brothel has a very strong restriction. The opponent's spiritual power can't spread here at all. In other words, he can't find us. Hearing this, Xiaobai finally understood. So there was actually such a thing. Gong Jun, I didn't expect you to know so much. Of course. I've been in the business world for so many years. How could I not know about this? Gong Jun pinched Xiaobai's face. Don't just focus on cultivating all day. You have to understand these things. Xiaobai agreed. It did make sense. At the same time, that third-rank immortal was also looking for Gong Jun everywhere. He had already crushed the low-grade and mid-grade blood spirit stones in his Qingkuan bag. It was no longer the Qing family's order. He had to kill Gong Jun. A mere elementary immortal dared to trick him like this. If he didn't kill him, he couldn't vent his anger at all. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were also running for their lives. Even though they had already thought of ways to split up and escape at the city gate, there were too many cultivators chasing after them. Even though they had split up, the group behind them was still shocking. Chapter 7486. Bang! The flesh on Bailey Hongzhuang's back exploded and blood splattered everywhere. Her face turned even paler as she quickly gulped down the pills. She could not care about anything else at this moment. She took out all the heavenly treasures in her chaos ring and stuffed them into her mouth. The fourth-rank immortal was simply too powerful. Even if she tried her best, she could not shake him off. Furthermore, that guy would attack her from time to time. The range of his attacks was too wide and the power was shocking. She tried to dodge but realized that she could not. Every time she would be injured. Under such circumstances, she simply stopped dodging. Once they caught up to her, only death would await her. Fortunately, she had robbed the resource warehouse and had quite a lot of resources on hand. Once she was injured, she quickly took out some heaven and earth treasures and stuffed them into her mouth. The effects of these things were quite good, and the injuries on her body would also heal a little. Even so, she knew that her condition was getting worse and worse. If this continued, she would not be able to keep her life. It had been so long and she had not been able to increase the distance between them. If it were not for the fact that she kept throwing explosives, he would have caught up to her a long time ago. Master, we can't go on like this. Xiao He looked at the injuries on Bailey Hongzhuang's back. Her eyes were filled with pain. This guy was a beast. Bailey Hongzhuang did not speak. She also knew that this could not go on like this. However, she could not think of any other way. Other than running as fast as she could, there was nothing else she could do. The fourth-rank immortal who was chasing after her was equally frustrated. He did not know why, but this person who had robbed the resource vault seemed to specialize in speed. She was only a first-rank immortal, but her speed was comparable to a fourth-rank immortal. Could it be that these people specialize in cultivating speed so that they could rob the resource vaults of various families? He felt that this must be the case. Otherwise, why would anyone specialize in cultivating speed? He had already severely injured the girl several times. However, the girl was like a cockroach that could not be killed. Her speed had always been good, but because of her injuries, her speed had never slowed down. However, he also noticed that the girl was stuffing food into her mouth as she ran. Even if he couldn't see it, he was sure that it was a natural treasure from the resource vault based on the energy that was leaking out. This girl actually used something from the resource vault to heal herself. This was simply a provocation to him. Lord Qing Devil said that he doesn't want anyone alive. He only wants dead bodies. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from behind, clearly entering everyone's ears. Hearing those words, the eyes of the Qing clan's members turned sharp. Originally, they thought that if they wanted to capture him alive, they would have to spend quite a bit of effort. But since there was no need to capture him alive, it would be much easier. They could just directly attack him and turn him into a pile of minced meat, and the mission would be completed. Qing devil is awake? Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned and frowned. She didn't expect that things would be so coincidental that the Qing devil would wake up at the same time as their operation today. I think Qing devil must have seen our signatures. Now he's so angry that he wants to kill us. Xiao Hei's eyes were cold. It doesn't make sense that this guy is still alive. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang understood everything. It's no wonder that not only the people from the east but also the people from the other branches are chasing after us. This must be the order of Qing devil. Otherwise, with the competition among the 4 branches, it would be good enough if they didn't laugh at us. They would never come to help us. Chapter 7487. This Qing devil is destined to be our enemy. Even her awakening is such a coincidence. Xiao Hei was also speechless. When it noticed that the 4th-rank immortal was about to attack again, it immediately enlarged its body and stood behind Bailey Hongzhuang. Master, be careful. Bang! The attack landed on Xiao Hei's body. It immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and its back was also covered in blood. Xiao Hei, are you alright? Bailey Hongzhuang asked anxiously. Master, I'm fine. Xiao Hei shook its head. I can still help you take a few hits. After one attack after another, Bailey Hongzhuang's ribs were already broken 7 or 8 times. Her internal organs were all damaged, and the skin on her back was almost completely gone. One could even see the eerie white bones. If it didn't help, its master would probably lose her life here. Seeing Xiao Hei's weak state, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but feel anxious. We can't go on like this. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. She had already made up her mind. Aren't these guys chasing us so desperately for cultivation resources? I'll just return them to them. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang shouted, I don't want the cultivation resources anymore. I'll return them to you. When the people behind heard this, they couldn't help but feel happy. The resources in the resource vault were very precious. They had to get them back. However, the 4th-rank immortal ignored them. You've robbed the resource vault. You'll definitely die today. Even if you hand over the cultivation resources, you'll still have to die. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Let's see if you can do it. She had been running for so long that she had already left many cultivators behind. Now, the ones following her were mainly a 4th-rank immortal and 2 3rd-rank immortals. One after another, Bailey Hongzhuang took out the cultivation resources and threw them back and forth. Seeing this, the 4th-rank immortal ordered the 2 immortals, collect all these resources. Hearing this, the 2 immortals nodded. This was a good job. Don't embezzle them. If you're caught, you'll be severely punished. The 4th-rank immortal warned again. The 2 immortals rolled their eyes but didn't say anything. They were too weak and could only listen to the 3rd elder's orders. The 2 immortals watched as the treasures fell one after another. They quickly caught them and put them into their Qinghuan bags. Bailey Hongzhuang handed the items to Xiao Hei and ran. Xiao Hei understood Bailey Hongzhuang's intention. To throw some resources. And threw them. Xiao Hei to Bailey Hongzhuang. At first, the 2 3rd-rank immortals were worried that there would be an explosion here, so they were very careful. However, after receiving a lot of cultivation resources and seeing that there were no problems, they relaxed. 2. Bang. 2 shocking explosions rang out, followed by 2 blood-curdling screams. The 3rd elder's speed came to a halt. He realized that the 2 3rd-rank immortals had been seriously injured. Although their lives weren't in danger, it was impossible for them to continue chasing. 2 pieces of trash. The 3rd elder scolded. He was flustered and exasperated. Usually he thought that these 3rd-rank immortals were not bad. He didn't expect that 2 of them would be knocked out by drugs and now 2 more would be knocked out by the explosion. They were all trash. Xiao Hei looked at the results of her battle and smiled. Master, how did I do? End of chapter. Chapter 7488. Great. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up. Her face was pale, but her spirit was not affected. Her eyes were bright. Now there's only this old fellow left. But this old fellow is really hard to deal with. Xiao Hei regained her composure after a short moment of satisfaction. Getting rid of these 2 fellows was indeed less troublesome, but there was still one more troublesome fellow. This person was the third elder of the Qing family. He was very experienced and would not be easily fooled. It would be extremely difficult to shake this fellow off. They had already used all the methods they could think of, and they could not think of any other methods in such a short period of time. Old fellow, it's not that I want to say this, but your Qing family is really full of trash. Bailey Hongzhuang mocked mercilessly. Which, don't be so happy too early. The third elder was furious. Once you fall into my hands, you won't have the chance to escape. Let's catch up first. Bailey Hongzhuang also didn't pay any attention to him. She ate the heavenly treasures even faster. Master, we've used up all the explosives. Xiaohei said worriedly. They had some leftover explosives from before, but under such consumption they were completely out. They were out of ammunition and food, and there was really no other way now. It's fine. Bailey Hongzhuang did not think about it anymore. Even if we all die here today, we definitely won't let this old fellow have it easy. Bailey Hongzhuang took out a blood spirit stone, filled it with essence power, and threw it behind her. Boom. The blood spirit stone exploded in midair, and Bailey Hongzhuang was also sent flying by the impact of the energy. At the same time, the third elder was also affected by the explosion. His body had a few more wounds and his speed slowed down. Seeing that this method was effective, Bailey Hongzhuang made up her mind and exploded the blood spirit stone again. Wuxia. Bailey Hongzhuang spat out another mouthful of blood. Her internal organs were burning with pain. In fact, she was already numb to the pain. The third elder was also shocked by Bailey Hongzhuang's reckless actions. Was this woman crazy? Even though he had slowed her down, if this continued, this woman would lose her life without him even needing to do anything. The third elder wasn't anxious about this. He wanted to see how long this woman could last. With the difference in strength between the two sides, the outcome was already set. Boom. Xiaohei looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, whose expression was becoming more and more unsightly. She could not help but say, Master, if this continues, you will die. If he catches you, you'll still die. Xiaohei was powerless. It understood that its master was right. What they were doing now could only buy time. Otherwise they would be caught immediately. Even so, they could not hold on for long. At that time, the result would be the same. As Bailey Hongzhuang continued to make explosions one after another, the distance between the two sides had also increased. Boom. When Bailey Hongzhuang exploded again, her eyes were already starting to lose focus. Her body could no longer withstand such a heavy blow. Master! Xiaohei cried out in alarm. This time it was really over. The third elder also sensed Bailey Hongzhuang's situation and a smug smile appeared on his face. She's going to play herself to death this time, isn't she? He walked forward unhurriedly. This girl had indeed exceeded his expectations. It was not easy for her to escape from his clutches for so long. No wonder she had the guts to attack the resource vault. However, this was not enough. Chapter 7489. Third elder's expression was calm. Based on his judgment, this woman should have quite a lot of cultivation resources on her. Although some of his companions had escaped, based on the Qing family's strength, none of them should have been able to escape. When the time comes, as long as he could retrieve all these cultivation resources, even if there were some problems, he would not be punished too severely. At most, he would be reprimanded a little. It was nothing. Just as third elder was getting closer and closer to Bailey Hongzhuang, suddenly, a shocking explosion rang out. Boom. Due to the explosion, the third elder was also sent flying, and the flesh on his chest had exploded. Damn it. Third elder cursed as he looked at his injuries. He did not think that this girl would have the guts to set up such a trap before she died. Fortunately, although the explosion had happened very close to him, his body had been tempered so he did not fall into a coma like the other two fellows. The inner energy in his body surged and his injuries began to heal. A mere first-level cultivator could actually injure him. This in itself was a disgrace. However, when he realized that Bailey Hongzhuang's aura had disappeared without him noticing, his expression changed abruptly. Mental strength spread out in all directions. After confirming that Bailey Hongzhuang's aura was indeed gone, he was in disbelief. How can this be? This girl was clearly nearby. Even if there had been an explosion, it would have happened in the blink of an eye. How could she have disappeared just like that? Third elder could not care less about his injuries as he quickly searched around the area. Male master, why are you here? Xiaohei was pleasantly surprised to see Di Beichen suddenly appear. She immediately felt relieved. I'm worried about Hongzhuang. Di Baichen had already sent Bailey Hongzhuang back into the Chaos Ring. He said, "Leave this place to me. You should return to the Chaos Ring too." Xiao He did not return immediately. She could not help but say, "Third Elder might not be able to find us after digging this tunnel. But as long as he looks carefully, he will be able to find us." Even if they all hid in the Chaos Ring, once the ring was discovered, the situation would be even worse. "I understand." Di Baichen's expression was calm and serious. "He's searching for us by locking onto our auras. Although the spiritual power of a fourth-rank immortal can penetrate very far, as long as we go deep enough, he won't be able to find us. As long as we dig a tunnel and leave, we can escape his pursuit." "Really? Why would I lie to you?" Di Baichen chuckled. "Let's go back and heal first." Xiren and Shangguan Yingying had been worried about the situation of Di Baichen and the others. They also knew about the robbery, but there was no news after so long. It was inevitable that they would be worried. Suddenly they saw the unconscious Bailey Hongzhuang. After seeing her injuries, Shangguan Yingying couldn't help but cover her mouth as tears welled up in her eyes. What's wrong with Hongzhuang? He actually suffered such a serious injury. Xiao He was also lying on the ground. It had helped its master to withstand a few attacks earlier, so its injuries were not serious. "Baichen, what's going on?" Without waiting for Wen Xiren to understand the situation, Di Baichen had already dragged him out. "Don't ask so many questions. We're in danger now. I'll leave the task of digging the tunnel to you." Digging the tunnel? Xiren realized that it was pitch black the moment he came out. He took a closer look. Weren't they underground? Chapter 7490. Keep digging deeper, then keep digging forward. In short, keep digging, don't stop. Di Baichen reminded her, "Use all your strength. We are being chased by a level 4 immortal. We can't afford to waste any time. I'll come to you after I heal myself." After saying this, Di Baichen returned to the Chaos Ring. He was also injured when he was being chased. However, Bailey Hongzhuang was the main target, so her injuries were the most serious. When he returned to the Chaos Ring, he saw Shangguan Yingying carefully treating Bailey Hongzhuang's injuries. Blood, clothes, and broken flesh had been mixed together. She felt an indescribable pain when she was dealing with all this. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had fallen into a deep coma. She didn't even react to such pain. How could this be? Shangguan Yingying couldn't help but ask. The Qing devil suddenly woke up and sent all his people to hunt us down. Our breaths have all been locked. Hearing this, Shangguan Yingying's eyes were full of hatred. The Qing devil. Sooner or later we'll kill this guy. Di Baichen carefully checked Bailey Hongzhuang's condition. His handsome eyes were also full of distress. Her injuries were so serious that almost all her flesh was broken. Fortunately, he noticed that although Hongzhuang's breaths were weak, they were gradually recovering. At the same time, Shangguan Yingying also said, "Baichen, look. Hongzhuang's body is gradually recovering." Her broken flesh was wriggling little by little and gradually recovering. Hongzhuang took a lot of natural treasures before. These energies must be helping her to recover. Di Baichen breathed a sigh of relief. She had taken so many natural treasures before that she couldn't take full effect in a short period of time. Now that she was seriously injured and in a deep coma, the effects of these natural treasures were all revealed. "That's good." Shangguan Yingying was pleasantly surprised. "You should also heal quickly. Your injuries aren't light either." Di Baichen immediately sat down to recuperate. Now he had given the task to Xiren, but the third elder was not stupid. He was afraid that it would not be long before he discovered the clues. Once they caught up, Xiren's speed would not be enough. Di Baichen quickly went out after taking the healing medicine and swallowing a lot of heavenly and earthly treasures. If anyone else was here, they would know how much Di Baichen and the others had wasted. Normally, it would be extremely difficult to obtain such precious cultivation resources. But now he was stuffing them all into his mouth without a care. "Baichen, you're out so soon?" When Xiren looked at Di Baichen, who had come out in the blink of an eye, he was a little surprised. "This shovel was very convenient when I was digging the spirit-devouring mine. Now I find it even more convenient to dig a tunnel." When Xiren sighed. Digging by hand was naturally slower, so he took out the shovel that he had used to mine. When he used it, he immediately realized that it was a great weapon. Di Baichen also took out the shovel and dug in the other direction without hesitation. Seeing this, Xiren could not help but ask, "Why are you digging in that direction? If that old man comes directly along this passage, How can we dig a tunnel compared to him coming directly? Making a few forks can also waste some of his time. That's right. You're really smart. Xiren praised. Then I'll continue digging. The two of them dug the tunnel as fast as they could. Beichen also dug some forks into the ground. In this way it would be even more difficult for the other party to find them. Chapter 7491. After Third Elder had recovered from his initial bewilderment, he scanned his surroundings. No one could disappear into thin air. The reason why they had disappeared must be because they had thought of a way to leave. He was very certain of this. After looking around for a while, he finally returned to the hole that was blown up. Upon closer inspection, he realized that there was another world below. This fellow had actually dug a tunnel. Third Elder had found the location of the tunnel. No wonder he had not been able to detect the girl's aura. She had run underground. The soil had the effect of isolating mental energy. As long as it was deep enough, he would not be able to detect it. As it turned out, the previous explosion was not only to injure him. More importantly, it was to conceal the location of the tunnel. This kind of smoke screen, if one was not careful enough, they would not be able to discover it. He had actually been made a fool of by this girl once again. His chest was burning with rage. He had already been made a fool of by this girl twice today. In the next moment he quickly dashed into the tunnel. Even if he had spent a little more time looking for the entrance, he did not believe that this girl's digging speed would be faster than his speed of chasing after her. Furthermore, that girl was already seriously injured. This digging of the tunnel was probably the work of her contracted beast. Third Elder had thought that he would be able to catch up to Bailey Hongzhuang very quickly. However, when he realized that he had not sensed Bailey Hongzhuang's aura even after a long time, his expression turned extremely ugly. This tunnel was too long. It was longer than he had expected. Could it be that the girl's serious injuries were all an act? Third Elder's face was filled with suspicion. If she had really suffered such serious injuries, there was no reason for her to dig so far. Most importantly, he had not sensed the girl's aura at all. As long as I follow this tunnel, do you think I won't be able to find her? Third Elder scoffed coldly and increased his speed to the maximum. The other party was only one man and one beast. Digging tunnels had always been inferior in comparison. However, when he realized that the tunnel had branched out, his expression turned extremely strange. Could it be that this man and beast were groundhogs? Their digging speed was actually so fast. Not only had they dug such a long tunnel, they had even branched out. Most importantly, even the branching out was so long. After encountering several branching paths, Third Elder could not help but admit that he had lost her. That girl had disappeared into the tunnel just like that. Xiren dug the tunnel with all his might. When he thought of the fact that there was a Tier 4 immortal chasing after him, he used all his strength. Hongzhuang and Beichen were both seriously injured. If they caught up with him, wouldn't that be a dead end? Thinking of this, his speed exploded. He used all of his mining abilities. Even Beichen was stunned by this guy's mining speed. In the past, he had never discovered Xiren's talent. Now he realized that this guy's greatest talent was actually mining. The speed was even faster than his. As Xiren dug, he felt more and more energetic. It was as if there was an inexhaustible amount of energy in his body. Suddenly, he felt as if his entire spirit had changed. Beichen stopped digging and looked in front of him in astonishment. Xiren had dug and dug and dug. And dug until he broke through? Xiren saw the sudden change in himself. At first he was at a loss. However, he quickly realized that he had broken through. Beichen, I actually broke through. Xiren looked at his hands in surprise. He had always hoped to break through as soon as possible but had not succeeded. He did not expect that he would break through now. It was really an unexpected surprise. Chapter 7492. Yes, I broke through. When Xiren was pleasantly surprised. Haha, I didn't think that digging a tunnel could help me break through. Come, let's continue digging. As he spoke, he ignored the smell of his breakthrough and turned around to continue digging. However, Beichen stopped and said, I'm not digging anymore. You're not digging anymore? When Xiren was stunned. What? You've already broken through, why are you still digging? What does that have to do with anything? When Xiren looked confused, not understanding what Beichen meant. That guy was tracking our aura. He's never seen your aura before, so naturally he wouldn't be able to lock onto you. Beichen smiled faintly, his furrowed brows loosening. Go back and take a shower and change into a clean set of clothes. I'll dig this tunnel to the surface, Then you can take us out of here openly. When Xiren finally understood. Yes, I've already broken through to the elementary immortal stage. There's no need to hide anymore. I'll go right away. Baichen held the chaos ring and dug the tunnel forward a little. He chose a branch and dug to the surface. At this moment they were completely safe. Shengguan Yingying was surprised when she noticed Xiren's breakthrough. You've only been out for a while, how did you break through? Yingying, I didn't expect that digging a tunnel could actually help you break through. You can try it next time. When Xiren's face lit up with joy. Maybe you'll break through after digging a little. There's such a cultivation method? Shengguan Yingying was a little confused. This was really beyond her knowledge. Let's not talk about this anymore. The crisis is more or less over. How's Hong Zhuang now? When Xiren recovered from his joy, Hong Zhuang was still seriously injured. Although Hong Zhuang is severely injured, her injuries are also rapidly recovering. According to this trend, she should be able to recover in a few days. Shengguan Yingying said, her 5 viscera and 6 bowels have been seriously injured. Superficial wounds heal faster, but I can't tell if it will hurt her foundation. I believe that with Hong Zhuang's ability, even if she is really injured, she will have a way to recover. Xiren nodded slightly. Even though the situation was not completely stable, it was undoubtedly much better than before. Soon, Xiren appeared on the ground and walked towards the city. I don't know where the others are. How can I find them? Xiren quickly left the area of the tunnel and looked around. Before entering the Chaos Ring, Baichen had told him to think of a way to find the others. The Chaos Ring was in his hand, so he just had to take advantage of the fact that the others weren't paying attention and put them into the Chaos Ring. As long as he was fast enough, even a rank 4 immortal wouldn't be able to find him. His expression was serious. The joy of breaking through had long been diluted. Even if he didn't know what had happened before, he now knew how bad the situation was. Even Baichen and Hong Zhuang were seriously injured and escaped death. One could only imagine how the others would fare. I hope everyone is safe. Xiren prayed. Qing Devil, I will settle this score with you sooner or later. He carefully sensed the fluctuations in the surroundings. With so many people chasing after him, the commotion would definitely not be small. He should be able to find them. Mo Yunjue was also seriously injured at the moment. After shaking off the other party, he hid in the tunnel. He understood that only by going underground could he avoid the pursuit of the other party. Otherwise, he would not be able to resist the pursuit of a 4th-level immortal. Chapter 74-93. Mo Yunjue closed his eyes, retracted his spiritual power, and hid underground without moving. Time was of the essence, so he could only take advantage of the gap just now to dig a tunnel. The only thing he could do now was to stay still and hope that the other party would overlook it. Otherwise, once they noticed the movement underground, he would die without a doubt. Time seemed to stop. The rank 4 immortal on the ground did not expect Mo Yunjue to disappear after playing a trick. It was impossible for a person to disappear into thin air. He must have used some kind of trick. Could it be that he took advantage of the teleportation talisman just now? The man frowned. He had been locking onto Mo Yunjue's aura. The other party's cultivation was far below his, so under his aura, there was no way he could use the teleportation talisman. If not for that, the kid would have had many chances to escape. There were always restrictions in the city to prevent people from causing trouble and escaping. After leaving the city, he had locked onto the other party's aura, so he did not have a chance to use the talisman. It had only been a short while. That kid was smart enough to take advantage of the gap and escape? Thinking of this possibility, the rank 4 immortal's expression turned ugly. He was a rank 4 immortal chasing after someone, but the other party had escaped. Just thinking about it made him feel embarrassed. I don't know where these guys came from. They're so fast. He was annoyed. He could catch an ordinary rank 1 immortal in an instant, but this guy was like a loach. He was extraordinarily difficult to catch. Moreover, this guy was not afraid of death. He was clearly severely injured, but he ran as if it did not affect him at all. Not only that, he felt that this was not the first time this kid was being hunted. From his experience, it seemed like he was used to being hunted. Xiren walked forward. He wanted to use his senses to sense the movement nearby to find Bai Lianche and the others. However, he realized that it was too simple. He could not sense any movement at all. Could it be that they took a different route? How am I supposed to find them? Xiren frowned. Didn't he just stay in the Chaos Ring for a while? What had happened to them now? Looking at the city not far away, Xiren thought for a moment and decided to go to the city to ask. This city wasn't too far away from Liuxin City. If someone were to run in this direction, someone in the city would definitely notice. However, as soon as he entered the city, he heard the discussions around him. What happened to Liuxin City's Qing clan? That third-rank immortal seemed to have been provoked and asked everywhere if he had seen a fatty in the elementary immortal realm. Previously, when I was outside the city, I noticed that there was a very shocking fluctuation coming from there. I still didn't know what was going on, but now it seems that this might be caused by the Qing clan. From the way I see it, that fatty must have run off somewhere long ago. He's at grade 3, yet he can't even find a novice celestial, and yet he still has the cheek to ask so many questions. He's really not afraid of embarrassing himself. Xiren's eyes lit up when he heard that. A fatty at the elementary celestial stage? Isn't that Gong Jun? He was sure that this person was definitely Gong Jun. So Gong Jun has come to this city, and the other party can't find him. Xiren fell into deep thought. Gong Jun was indeed slippery. He could even shake off a grade 3 immortal. His ability to escape was indeed top-notch. Chapter 7494. According to Gong Jun's personality, since he's hiding in the crowd, he probably won't leave. Xiren thought for a moment. After all, once he left the city, he would be too obvious a target. The other party would easily find him. However, it would not be easy to hide in the city without being discovered. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Xiren's mind. He had been hanging out with Gong Jun for a while. Although Gong Jun despised him in the beginning, as time passed, the two of them became birds of a feather. Therefore they often talked to each other. He vaguely remembered that Gong Jun had discussed with him before. The brothel had a spiritual barrier that prevented cultivators from prying into it. Otherwise, if they did, the scene would be lively and fragrant. Even a grade 3 immortal couldn't find him. Could this guy have gone to the brothel? As soon as this thought appeared, Xiren felt that his guess was very likely correct. The next moment he asked around for the location of the brothel. Under the disdainful gaze of the other party, he walked toward the brothel. As soon as he walked into the brothel, he saw a group of orioles and swallows. Their clothes were much thinner than the women on the street. Xiren quickly lowered his head. If Yingying knew that he had come to this place, she would definitely beat him to death. I hope Gong Jun is really here. Otherwise it'll be troublesome. Xiren prayed silently. However, after entering, he realized that the brothel was not small. Where was he going to find Gong Jun? He couldn't possibly search every room, right? If that was the case, he would probably be beaten to death before he could find Gong Jun. Just as he was considering whether or not he should ask someone about it, a surprised voice was suddenly heard. Xiren. Xiren quickly looked toward the source of the voice. He saw that Xiaobai was on the ground. He quickly placed Xiaobai in his hands. He was delighted. You guys are really here. Why are you here? Xiaobai asked in surprise. Ever since Gong Jun brought it here, it didn't expect anyone to find them here. It was only worried that the tier 3 immortal would find this place, so it came out to wander. He did not expect to see Xiren here. This was really beyond his expectations. Beichen asked me to look for you. How is Master? Xiaobai became anxious when she saw that Xiren had news about Di Beichen. Don't worry, Beichen and Hong Zhuang are both in the Chaos Ring. They were injured and are currently recuperating. Upon hearing this, Xiaobai heaved a sigh of relief. She felt as if a huge rock had been lifted from her shoulders. That's good, that's good. Where is Gong Jun now? Xiren asked. We can't stay here for long. We have to find the others. Beichen and Hong Zhuang were undoubtedly the strongest in their group. If even they were seriously injured, it was not hard to imagine the situation of the others. If they were late, they might lose their lives. This was not something he wanted to see. I'll take you there. Xiaobai also understood the seriousness of the situation. This time they had really poked a hornet's nest. They had never expected that Qing Devil would wake up today. That was why they were in such a crisis. Under Xiaobai's lead, Xiren walked into a room. However, Gong Jun was not inside. Where's Gong Jun? He hid underground. He was afraid that the tier 3 immortal would chase him to the brothel. Xiaobai walked to the bottom of the bed and lifted the brick. Then she shouted, Gong Jun, come up quickly. End of chapter. Chapter 7495. Xiaobai called out, but there was no response from below. Xiren is here. It's not a third-rank immortal. There's no danger. Come up quickly. Gong Jun quickly came out of the tunnel as soon as he said that. Xiaobai rolled his eyes. Did you think I sold you out when I said the first thing? Gong Jun paused. What nonsense are you talking about? How could I be that kind of person? Ah. Xiaobai laughed dryly. He could guarantee that Gong Jun was definitely thinking that. Ziren looked at Gong Jun in confusion. You climbed up from the tunnel. Shouldn't you be covered in mud? Why are you wet? He reached out and plucked a strand of grass from Gong Jun's hair. He said in disbelief, This is water grass? Who would have thought that there would be a well next to me? I dug and dug and dug and dug and dug and dug and then I took a bath. Ziren? Gong Jun shook his body. After drying his clothes, he asked in confusion, How did you appear? Didn't boss say that? You don't have to worry about how I appeared. Besides, I've already broken through to the elementary immortal stage. My cultivation is the same as yours. You don't have to worry. Ziren was a little proud. Gong Jun had been showing off in front of him for a long time because he had broken through to the elementary immortal stage. Now the two of them were finally at the same level. Gong Jun raised his eyebrows. That's true. I'm not far from the first rank. It's about time for you to break through to the elementary immortal stage. Ziren, we can't stay here any longer. We have to hurry and find Yen Che and the others. Beichen and Hong Zhuang have been severely injured. I think they're in a very dangerous situation. I'll take you out of the city first. You can come out when it's safe. We have to think of a way to find the others. Ziren's expression was serious. In fact, he was a little surprised when he saw Gong Jun, Beichen and the others were severely injured, but Gong Jun was unscathed. This fatty's ability to escape was unparalleled. Did you see that third-rank immortal when you came? I saw him. He's looking for you all over the city like a madman. You must have angered him this time, right? When Ziren shuddered when he recalled how the third-rank immortal had frantically searched for Gong Jun. It was as if he had eaten gunpowder. He really could not imagine what Gong Jun had done to anger him to such an extent. It's as I expected. Gong Jun smiled sheepishly. Since you've already seen him, you should know that we can't leave at all. If we hadn't been hiding in this brothel, I'm afraid we would have been caught by now. Ziren blinked proudly. Leave the rest to me. If I say I can take you away, then I can take you away. In the next instant, Gong Jun and Xiaobai had already entered the chaos ring, and he swaggered out of the brothel. He looked casual, but his footsteps weren't slow at all. They were in a race against time and there was no time to waste here. Yen Che, you guys have to hang in there. I'll go find you immediately. Ziren prayed in his heart. He casually bought some snacks from a nearby shop, and asked about what had happened nearby. Everyone in the city was curious about what had happened in the Qing residence. Thus, Ziren only had to ask a few questions and the others all told him what they knew. Chapter 7496. Previously there was a big commotion over there. Someone happened to be nearby. It is said that the Qing family's team is chasing after two young people. It's quite interesting. The Qing family is suddenly chasing after so many people. Moreover, these young people have just broken through to the elementary immortal stage. I really can't figure out why they are being chased like this. This is not the strangest problem. The strangest problem is that the distance between the two cities is not short. Isn't it interesting that the Qing family has to spend so much time chasing after a few guys in the elementary immortal stage? As soon as these words were said, everyone chuckled. If the ones who escaped were above the third stage, it would not be strange for them to be chased for so long. However, they were only in the elementary immortal stage. This showed that the Qing family's strength was too weak. The Qing family has lost its former glory. Qing Ling hasn't shown up for so many years. Qing Devil has also disappeared for a long time. Even if they are back now, their strength has not improved at all. Instead, it has declined. That's because the forces in Liuxin City are useless. Otherwise, they would have taken advantage of this time to get rid of the Qing family. With such strength, what right does the Qing family have to occupy a corner of the Qingping continent? After hearing that everyone was sure that there was a commotion from the south, Ziren had a rough idea in his heart. The people who were being chased were definitely their people. It was either Yen Che or Yunju. Moreover, it was said that they were seriously injured. He had to hurry over as soon as possible. However, after hearing that the Qing family was despised by everyone, his mood was slightly better. He knew that with Qing Devil's character, he would not have a good life in the immortal realm. He really hoped that one of the forces would be powerful enough to get rid of the Qing family directly. Then they would not have so much trouble. As soon as Gong Jun opened his eyes, he found that he had appeared in another place. A strange look flashed across his eyes. Then it revealed a strong sense of surprise. Where is this? Gong Jun, you are here. Di Beichen's warm and magnetic voice rang out. Hearing this, Gong Jun could not help but be startled. Only then did he notice Di Beichen. He could not help but ask, Boss, where am I? A small world in the ring. Di Beichen explained. It can't be? Gong Jun looked around in disbelief. I always thought that Xiren didn't have much ability, but this guy actually has such a strong ring? This place can hold living things. Everyone was undoubtedly very familiar with the storage ring, but the storage ring could only store inanimate objects while the storage ring could store people. That was completely different. There was no comparison between the two. This ring doesn't belong to Xiren. It belongs to Hong Zhuang. Di Beichen smiled faintly. It can't be? Then how did he bring me in? Even if someone were to bring me in, it should be you, boss. Before we robbed the resource vault, Hong Zhuang had already thought of the possibility of encountering such danger, so she left behind a few strands of her spiritual power for us. When the time comes, if there is any danger or if she falls into a coma, the rest of us will be able to open the chaos ring. Di Beichen looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang, who was still unconscious, and a trace of worry appeared in his eyes. He saw that the injuries on Hong Zhuang's body were recovering bit by bit, but the injuries this time were too severe. With the help of a fourth-rank immortal, it was even more difficult for her to recover from her injuries. He did not know when she would wake up. Gong Jun only then noticed the unconscious Bailey Hong Zhuang, and his expression suddenly changed. End of chapter. Chapter 7497. Who did this? That's too much of a beast. Just one look was enough to tell how serious her injuries were. Her aura was already extremely weak, and if one didn't sense it carefully they wouldn't be able to sense it. I still have some pills here. Gong Jun took out some pills. They have good healing effects. Let sister-in-law take them? Di Beichen waved his hand slightly. Hong Zhuang took a lot of heavenly treasures before she fainted. Now that the medicinal effects are taking effect in her body, I'm worried that she might not be able to digest too much energy now that her body has been destroyed. Hearing this, Gong Jun also understood. Then we have to keep an eye on sister-in-law's condition. When the energy is almost depleted, we'll replenish it according to the situation. Heavenly treasures were undoubtedly very beneficial to cultivators, but in a situation where the body was destroyed, the endless energy could cause a collision because there was no spiritual power to control it. Boss, how are you? Gong Jun looked at Di Beichen again. I'm injured but not fundamentally, Di Beichen said. That's good. Gong Jun heaved a sigh of relief. I hope Xiren can find the others quickly. The situation this time is really too dangerous. Di Beichen noticed that Gong Jun and Xiao Bai were safe and sound. He couldn't help but laugh. The two of you are quite lucky. I didn't expect Xiren to find you so quickly. I've been hanging out with Xiren for so long. We probably have telepathy. Xiao Bai couldn't help but roll her eyes when she heard this. You really have the nerve to say that. How many people are still outside now? Shengguan Yingying walked over and asked. It's a pity that I haven't broken through yet. It won't be easy for Xiren to find everyone by himself. She was actually about to die from anxiety, but there was nothing she could do to help. Yanche Linger and Yunju. Di Beichen's eyes darkened slightly. His eyes, which were as deep as the ocean, were filled with worry. Qing Devil's sudden awakening has affected the whole plan. What about Zhongli Mu and Yi Sun? Gong Jun asked. Previously, I was worried about Yi Sun's trustworthiness, so I didn't involve Yi Sun in this plan. Zhongli has always been with Yi Sun, and they should be heading to the rendezvous point now. When Gong Jun heard this, his expression improved a little. Everyone was suspicious of Yi Sun because of what he had said earlier. This proved that everyone trusted him more. That guy's surname was Yi. The fourth prince really didn't put him in his eyes as usual. Being suddenly seen through this time probably had something to do with Yi Sun, right? Wanting to borrow the hands of the Qing clan to deal with them, what a good plan. However, wasn't he looking down on him a little too much? He had already crushed that so-called bottle after he had poisoned them. How could Qing Tang and the others have found the bottle? It was obvious that someone was playing tricks on them. It looked like he had to get rid of that guy as soon as possible. Otherwise, with such a guy around, who knew what kind of trouble he would cause in the future? Since the fourth prince has already found them, but he hasn't made a move yet. Gong Jun narrowed his eyes. This guy probably wants to find the second prince first. With the eldest princess keeping him in check and with him here, the fourth prince also understood that the chances of success were lower. Furthermore, if the eldest princess targeted him, he wouldn't be in a good situation either. Chapter 7498. The fourth prince had only come up with this plan because of all these factors. However, this fellow was not much of a threat. If he didn't want to arouse his master's suspicion, he could get rid of Yi Sun secretly and create an accident. When it came to dirty tricks, no one could compare to him. Gong Jun, what's wrong with you? Shengguan Yingying waved her hand in front of Gong Jun's eyes. Why are you in a daze? It was only then that Gong Jun came back to his senses. I was just wondering where exactly they would go. Right now, only Xiren is looking for them. Yen Che and the other two are all outside. I'm really worried. Sigh yes. Shengguan Yingying sighed. You guys are really too crazy this time. When Xiren rushed out of the city, based on the direction everyone was talking about, he had also guessed the escape route. There were a total of 3 escape routes, and this commotion was coming from one of them. However, during this process he saw the third-rank celestial who was frantically searching for people. This guy had practically checked all the cultivators in the elementary celestial stage in the city. When Xiren shook his head inwardly, Gong Jun had simply driven this guy crazy. He quietly walked to the other side. He didn't want to run into this lunatic. Stop right there. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind him. When Xiren paused, he couldn't be that unlucky, right? I'm talking about you. Stop right there. The third-rank immortal's aura locked onto him. No matter how unwilling when Xiren was, he had no choice but to stop. After all, the other party was stronger than him. Soon, the third-rank immortal arrived in front of him. Xiren raised his head. There was a hint of fear in his confusion, and he didn't know what to say. The third-rank immortal sized up Xiren. Who did you meet just now? He clearly noticed that this guy had some of the fatty's aura on him. Meh. When Xiren was stunned and said with a blank expression, I've met many people along the way. Did you meet a fatty? The third-rank immortal asked. Fatty? When Xiren thought for a moment. I think I was bumped into by a fat guy. I don't know what that guy was so anxious about, but he was so flustered. The rank 3 immortal's eyes lit up and he quickly asked, Where did you meet that fatty? Xiren scratched his head in embarrassment. That brothel, a brothel. The rank 3 immortal immediately understood. No wonder he couldn't find that fatty. That fatty actually went to the brothel. He had never been interested in brothels, so he had never thought of this possibility. Now he suddenly realized that this was the only place in the entire city where he could hide. In the next instant, the rank 3 immortal didn't have the time to say anything and directly rushed forward. Seeing this, Xiren heaved a sigh of relief. I finally tricked this guy away. Gong Jun was indeed at the brothel earlier, but he's gone now. Once the rank 3 immortal left, Xiren quickly rushed out of the city. He pushed his speed to the limit and rushed in the direction of the disturbance. Ling Er had already transformed into her dragon form and flew into the clouds, avoiding the immortal's pursuit. Bailey Yanche also transformed back into his Beast King form. His speed was at its peak. All the demonic beasts in the vicinity, even those that had already transformed, upon hearing the Beast King's command, all contributed their strength and blocked him. Chapter 7499. When Xiren rushed to the vicinity and saw such a scene, he was immediately shocked. The Beast King and the Dragon Clan are indeed extraordinary. Even their fleeing formation is much stronger. He had originally thought that Yen Che and Ling Er were slightly weaker and would be in more danger now. However, it seemed that their situation was much better than he had imagined. The Beast King's first order. All kinds of demon beasts will appear. The scene is really impressive. When Xiren's face was filled with emotion, he had just noticed that 2 cultivators had directly transformed into their beast forms. Actually, since they had already cultivated to such a level, there was no need for them to attack without the Beast King's real command. However, they still tried to stop them. Even if they didn't attack the Qing family, just holding them back for a moment was enough to change the situation. 1 person tried to stop them and then 10 people tried to stop them. Gradually they were able to shake them off. It seems that Yen Che doesn't need to be too worried. He noticed that although Bailey Yen Che was being chased very nervously, he did not suffer any serious injuries. Moreover, the distance between the 2 parties was increasing. As long as he increased the distance between them, he might be able to take the opportunity to shake these guys off. When he thought of this, he quickly rushed towards the army that was blocking them. No one doubted him. He quickly sent a voice transmission, "Enter the city. I'll wait for you." Bai Lian-che was escaping at full speed when he suddenly heard Xiren's voice. He subconsciously thought that he had misheard. This guy should be in the Chaos Ring. How could he be talking to him? In the blink of an eye, he noticed when Xiren's figure in the crowd. It was not an illusion but a real presence. "Help me hold them off for a moment." "Thank you," Bai Lian-che shouted. When the beasts behind heard this, they immediately made up their minds. Even if they didn't recognize the Beast King, his identity represented the royal family of the demon beasts. If these humans wanted to kill the Beast King, they would definitely not allow it. "Don't worry, Beast King." Seeing this, Bai Lian-che suddenly flew up and found Linger, who was rolling in the sea of clouds in the distance. "Xiren has appeared. Let's go to the city." Linger's eyes lit up when she heard this. Xiren's appearance means that Hong Zhuang is safe. If something had happened to Hong Zhuang, then when Xiren would not have appeared here. Those fellows behind us have been chasing us for a long time now. Now that someone is obstructing them, they won't be able to catch us in a short period of time. We'll be safe once we enter the Chaos Ring. Although he didn't suffer any serious injuries during his escape, it was still exhausting to run for such a long time. Most importantly, it would be a pity to waste the cultivation resources that they had painstakingly snatched. All right. When Xiren sent a voice transmission to ensure that Bai Lian-che had heard him. Then he quickly headed towards the city. It would be best if he could quickly put the two of them into the Chaos Ring as soon as he entered the city. That way they would be safe. After all, there was still a crazed third-rank immortal in the city. He should have turned the brothels upside down by now. I hope that third-rank immortal has left. Otherwise it'll be troublesome. Xiren shook his head and sighed. When Xiren arrived near the city, he saw two figures flying down from the sky. They were Bai Lian-che and Ling Er, who had returned to their human forms. Without another word, he immediately put them into the Chaos Ring. Chapter 7502. The situation this time was very dangerous. If it were an ordinary person, they would not have been able to escape from death, but he believed that Yunju could. He was also a person with great luck. No matter what kind of danger he faced, he could turn it into safety. It was really too dangerous just now. If I hadn't found other demon beasts to help me, I really wouldn't have been able to come back this time. Bai Lian-che sat down at the side with lingering fear. After running for so long, even he could not help but feel tired. If you hadn't experienced this, you probably wouldn't have known that there were so many beasts here, right? Ling Er chuckled. Ever since they entered the immortal realm, they had not seen any demon beasts. Now, it seemed that these demon beasts had all transformed into human forms. Normally, they would not be able to see anything. If it weren't for the aura of the Beast King that had been released when they were running, they would not have known that there were many demon beasts in the crowd. That's true. Bai Lian-che nodded slightly. All along, he had not had much contact with the demon beasts. However, when he saw that there were no demon beasts in the immortal realm, he also felt lonely. Now, it seemed that the situation was much better than he had imagined. They were still willing to help. This is beyond my expectations. Bai Lian-che chuckled. When we go to the Skyline continent, we should be able to get to know other demon beasts. Ling Er looked around and frowned. Where's Hong Zhuang? Hong Zhuang is seriously injured. She's currently resting in her room. I'll go see her. Ling Er hurriedly walked to the back room. Even Beichen said that her injuries were serious. This proved that it was definitely not simple. When Xiren heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that everyone from the Qing family had left. He waited until they were a certain distance away before continuing to leave the city. Looking at the endless forest in front of him, his face revealed a puzzled expression. When I asked around earlier, it clearly said that there was movement here. However, on my way here, I didn't hear anything at all. He understood that it had been a long time since the incident. It could be said that they were lucky enough to find Yen-che and the others. It would be very difficult to catch up with Yunju. Even so, he had to do his best. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, he could not give up. Yunju, you must turn danger into safety. When Xiren prayed silently. In fact, Beichen and the others were considered lucky to have been able to survive in the hands of a rank 4, but this kind of luck was not something that everyone could have. No. Xiren shook his head. Yunju will also have such good luck. He quickly moved forward until he saw the traces left behind by the explosion. His expression changed slightly. This should be the explosives made by Hong Zhuang. That proves that Yunju walked past here. Ziren made up his mind. After determining the route, he quickly rushed forward. The sky gradually darkened. When Ziren walked along the road but did not see Mo Yunju's figure, his heart gradually sank. It had been so long and there was still no news. He did not know whether this was good news or bad news. Suddenly, he heard the sound of footsteps in front of him. He immediately put away the worry on his face and continued to walk forward as if nothing had happened. It was only when a group of people passed by him that he noticed that the word, Qing, was written on the waist tag of those people. People from the Qing family. He immediately realized who this group of people was. After taking a closer look, he realized that there was no sign of Mo Yunjue. He immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 7503. Damn it, that fellow actually disappeared. What should we say when we get back? Everyone sighed with some annoyance and unwillingness. Today's trip was really too depressing. When Ziren was overjoyed. Since Qing family did not manage to catch Yunju, it meant that Yunju was fine. Who knows if there are other people who ran away? As long as we are not the only ones who failed, then it's fine. Otherwise, we will not be able to avoid punishment. When the Stage 4 Immortal heard this discussion, his face became extremely ugly. All of you shut up. When these words came out, everyone shut their mouths, not daring to say anything else. When Ziren continued to walk in the direction these people came from, perhaps he might be able to find Yunju. It's really a blessing from the heavens. Everyone is safe. When Di Baichen and the rest heard the news from Ziren, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Today could be considered a close call. I'm afraid that Yunju's injuries are not light. However, as long as he can escape, it's only a matter of time before he recovers. Ling'er guessed. This time they had robbed the resource warehouse of the branch. There were quite a lot of resources. No matter how serious the injuries were, as long as they had enough cultivation resources, they would be able to recover. I hope that Ziren can find Yunju. Bai Li Yanche prayed. I wonder if Qing family's people have all left. If they have left, we can also help to go out and look for them. It's best not to go out now. Who knows if there are any old foxes among these people? Who knows, they might be waiting nearby. Di Baichen said. Bai Li Yanche nodded slightly. I understand. Bailey Hongzhuang was still unconscious. The rich energy was repairing her body. She only felt a piercing pain in her brain, as if many memory fragments were flashing past. However, these memory fragments were all blurry. Even if they were close, she could not see anything clearly. Amidst these memory fragments, she suddenly heard a familiar voice. Since you have already decided, I will support you. This voice was just like the voice she had heard on the comprehension stele. It was familiar and warm. However, she had no idea when this voice had been spoken to her or who had spoken to her. Bailey Hongzhuang was still in a coma, her consciousness in a mess. Amidst the white mist, the emerald green trees exuded endless vitality. An enchanting and flawless figure in white was playing the zither. The melodious sound of the zither, like the tinkling of spring water, poured out from her fingertips. The woman's face was cold and indifferent. Her eyes were withered, without the slightest bit of emotion, but her facial features were exquisite and beautiful. Suddenly, an otherworldly figure landed in front of the woman. The man was wearing a blue robe with a wide belt with a Buddha head and a green dragon pattern on his waist. Chapter 7504. The man's eyes gradually darkened, and a ripple slowly spread out from his eyes that were like a clear spring, turning into an unforgettable peerless figure. Since that fellow has appeared, she should appear as well. The woman chuckled upon hearing this. So what if she's here? Back then, she left so decisively that she didn't even leave a single message. So what? The man's eyes changed and a trace of fierceness and stubbornness appeared on his face. Even if she didn't leave a single message, I will definitely find her. There was a trace of ridicule in the woman's expression. Her heart can no longer be kept. How can you do this? The man looked at the woman in disbelief. She's your little sister. That's right, she's my little sister. So what? The woman's eyes were filled with malice. She left, then she left. Why must you find her? That was her choice. Since she made that choice, she has no right to regret it. No. The man raised his voice. Her status is noble and no one can compare to her. You know her innate talent and strength better than anyone else. From the moment she was born, she was different from the rest. No one can be mentioned in the same breath as her. Bang! The zither in front of the woman broke into pieces. She suddenly stood up. All these years I've been handling everything. Haven't I handled it well enough? Everything that she can do, I can do it. Why do I have to find her? She doesn't deserve to come back. The woman's expression was gloomy and cold. There was a trace of stubbornness and even more determination. From the moment she left, she was no longer my little sister. I don't have a sister like her. Seeing the woman's crazed look, the man shook his head and ignored her. The demon realm has already made their move. It's your business if you're not worried about your little sister. As for me, I'll definitely protect her. The man's misty eyes were filled with determination. From the first time he saw Ju Chen's figure, he knew that he had already fallen for her in this lifetime. Even though she had disappeared for so many years, to him, she had never left. Because she would always be in his heart and no one could take her away. You idiot. The woman sneered. So what if you treat her well? She doesn't even have you in her heart. Why don't you help me secure this position? There are so many beautiful women out there, why are you so obsessed with her? You will never understand. She is irreplaceable. The man's gaze gradually turned cold. No one can take away her position. You'd better not do anything I don't want to see. Otherwise I won't let you off. Only after the man's figure disappeared did the woman lower her eyes. There was a faint light trembling in her eyes. In the end, we still can't escape this calamity? After when Ziren confirmed that the group from the Qin clan did not manage to find Mo Yunjue, he began to search the surroundings. In the end, there were still some traces left behind. It could be seen that when they were escaping, Mo Yunjue had exhausted all his means. However, after walking for some distance, he realized that he could not find any traces at all. The Chaos Ring is with me. Yunju couldn't have disappeared for no reason. When Ziren circled the surroundings suspiciously, he checked the entire area but he really could not find any traces. The group from before had also circled the area but in the end, they did not find anything. Could Yunju be underground as well? When Ziren pondered. If he wanted to prevent his mental strength from detecting, running underground was the only way. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.